Weird Al in a cookbook? Hey there, rock geeks. The 1st of September, 1988. Rock and Roll Cuisine, the cookbook you never knew you needed, hits shelves. Featuring 95 recipes from music legends. Yoko Ono offers a dream soup, which sounds as poetic as it does questionable. Mick Jagger serves a shrimp curry. Cher delivers a boyfriend-approved macaroni salad. And Weird Al Yankovic contributes a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Not exactly groundbreaking, but then again, Weird Al never claimed to be a chef, even if armed with the bologna. Check out more stories, day to day, from the Rock and Roll Almanac. The Doors make rock and roll history. For the first time. Hey there, rock geeks. The 2nd of September, 1965. That's 60 years ago today. The Doors step into World Pacific Jazz Studios in Los Angeles to record their first demos, laying down 6 tracks, including Hello, I Love You and Summer's Almost Gone. Still an unknown band, their name is lifted from Aldous Huxley's book The Doors of Perception, which itself borrows from a William Blake verse. Little do they know, they're about to open a door to rock history that will never close. Pun intended. Check out more day-to-day stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. The start of the 27 Club. Hey there, rock and roll fans. 3rd of September, 1970. That's 55 years ago. Canned Heat frontman Alan Wilson dies of a barbiturate overdose at just 27. His death is a tragic prelude to what will soon be known as the 27 Club, as Jimi Hendrix follows just 2 weeks later, and Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison within the next year. Wilson, a gifted blues musician, leaves behind classics like Going Up to the Country and On the Road Again. But his life is cut far too short. Check out more rock and roll facts from the Rock and Roll Almanac. The Who and the Dog. Hey there, rock and roll enthusiasts. September 4th, 1965. That's 60 years ago today. While the Who browse for a guard dog, thieves make off with their van and 10,000 worth of equipment. It's an ironic twist. Had they already bought the dog? It might have been there to scare off the culprits. Instead, they're left empty-handed, proving that sometimes bad timing is everything. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. And by the way, this was the 30th video that I've done from the series. And there's still 2,721 of these small stories in the book. At least 6 for every day of the year. Check out the book from your local bookstore or from Amazon. See ya. John Lennon and his signature glasses. Hey there, rock fans. 5th of September, 1966. John Lennon heads to Germany for his only major non-documentary film role in How I Won the War. His character sports a pair of round glasses, an accessory Lennon keeps after filming, turning them into his signature look. The movie itself is largely forgotten, but the glasses? Iconic. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. The Beatles Clapton collaboration. Hey there, rock and roll enthusiasts. September 6th, 1968. The Beatles bring in a special guest to elevate While My Guitar Gently Weeps, Eric Clapton. The George Harrison penned track gets its now legendary guitar solo from Clapton, marking the first time a famous non-Beatle plays on one of their songs. Though Clapton is hesitant at first, Harrison convinces him, and the result is rock and roll's one of the most emotional and unforgettable solos. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. It's Buddy Holiday, in 2 ways at least. Hey there, rock fans. September 7th, 1994. That's over 30 years ago today. Weezer releases Buddy Holly, an infectious power pop anthem that unexpectedly becomes their breakthrough single. Named after the rock and roll pioneer and released on what would have been his 58th birthday, the track is lifted by a Spike Jonze directed music video that inserts the band into Happy Days. Remember that? I think you should. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. Cobain and Love, first time on the stage. Hey there, rock and roll enthusiasts. September 8th, 1993. Rock's most infamous couple, Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love, take the stage together for the first time at Club Lingerie in Los Angeles. The impromptu performance sees them duet on Pennyroyal Tea and Where Did You Sleep Last Night, offering a rare, intimate glimpse into their raw chemistry, both as musicians and as partners. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. A free U2 album? No thanks. Hey there, rock and roll fans. 9th of September, 2014. Who doesn't love a free album? Apparently, about 500 million iTunes users, as Apple pushes U2's Songs of Innocence directly into their libraries, without asking. What was meant to be a gift turns into a PR disaster, as many users scramble to figure out how to delete it. Still, about 26 million people actually download the album, proving that while some complained, others were perfectly fine with a little unexpected Bono in their playlists. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. When the doors finally close. Hey there, rock and roll enthusiasts. 10th of September, 1972. The Doors take the stage at the Hollywood Bowl for their final concert, having continued as a trio following Jim Morrison's death in 1971. The set ends with Light My Fire, the very last song Morrison himself performed before his passing. With no frontman who could truly replace him, the remaining members decide this will be their last live performance, closing a chapter on one of rock's most mystic and controversial bands. Check out more day-to-day stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. 9/11. Remember where you were? I was at a band practice. Hey there, rock and roll fans. September 11th, 2001. Walking to work as a comic book illustrator in New York, Gerard Way witnesses the 9/11 attacks firsthand. The tragedy shakes him to his core and inspires him to start a band, one that will channel themes of trauma, resilience, and emotional catharsis. The result? My Chemical Romance, with Way stepping in as a lead singer and shaping the sound of a generation. Check out more stories. Some are even tragic. From the Rock and Roll Almanac. What is this? This is garbage. Hey there, rock fans. September 12th, 1993. Garbage find their missing piece while watching MTV's 120 Minutes. The band sees Shirley Manson in the video of Suffocate Me by her band Angelfish and immediately know she's the front woman they've been looking for. Taking a leap of faith, Manson leaves Scotland for Wisconsin, blending her raw, intimate lyrics with Garbage's innovative sound, a pairing that will define alternative rock in the 90s. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. Hold up your lighters! Hey there, rock fans. 13th of September, 1969. What a magical year. The Toronto Rock and Roll Revival Show serves up to 12 hours of legendary performances from Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry, Jerry Lee Lewis, The Doors, Alice Cooper, and John Lennon and Yoko Ono, performing as Plastic Ono Band. It's Lennon's first major solo performance, later immortalized in a live piece in Toronto 1969. The festival is also where the classic Hold Up Your Lighters concert tradition begins, introduced by the host Kim Foley to hype up Eric Clapton and John Lennon. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. The Genesis made a live debut. Hey there, rock and roll enthusiasts. September 14th, 1969. I know, again. Genesis make their live debut performing at a cottage owned by Peter Gabriel's former Sunday school teacher. It's a humble beginning for a band that will later become progressive rock royalty. At this point, they're still finding their sound, far from the grand theatrical shows that Gabriel would eventually turn into prog rock legend. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. And by the way, this was the 40th video that I've done for the series. And there's still 2,711 stories left in the book. If you enjoy these, why not subscribe? But if you truly enjoy these, buy the book. The Pendeltones start surfing. Hey there, rock and roll folks. 15th of September, 1961. Truly a long time ago. A young band called the Pendeltones step into Hyde Morgan's Los Angeles studio to record a little song called Surfin. They don't know it yet, but this demo will be the first step toward stardom. By year's end, they'll sign their first record deal and receive a new name, the Beach Boys. Meanwhile, Surfin becomes their debut single, launching the wave of California sound that will define an era. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. The Beatles, dethroned? Hey there, rock and roll folks. September 16th, 1970. After an 8-year reign, the Beatles are dethroned as England's top act in the Melody Maker fan poll. Their successors? Led Zeppelin, who are redefining rock music with their thunderous sound and electrifying performances. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. Heck, even by the book. The Queen and 65 Naked Women. Hey there, rock fans. 17th of September, 1978. The Queen take over Wimbledon Greyhound Stadium to shoot the video for their upcoming hit Bicycle Race, which famously features 65 naked women racing on bicycles. The models, all professionals. The bikes, rented. But when the rental company discovers how they were used, they demand Queen purchase every single bicycle seat. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. The next to join the 27 Club. Hey there, rock fans. September 18th, 1970. That's 55 years ago today. Jimi Hendrix dies at 27 years old in London's Samarkand Hotel after fatal overdose of Wesparax and alcohol. Though his career lasted just 4 years, his impact on rock music is immeasurable. His guitar virtuosity rewrites the rules of the instrument, and his catalog, Purple Haze, Voodoo Child, All Along the Watchtower, remains essential listening. Just a week before his passing, Hendrix gives his final interview to Record Mirror's Keith Altham, reflecting on psychedelic music, fame, and his own future. It's a haunting glimpse into his mind just before the end. Check out more day-to-day stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. The final form of Pearl Jam. Hey there, rock geeks. September 19, 1990. Who could believe that's 35 years ago today? My. Eddie Vedder is selected as the lead vocalist for what will become Pearl Jam, after Jeff Ament, Stone Gossard, and Mike McCready hear his demo tape. On it, he added haunting, emotional vocals to 3 instrumental tracks they had recorded. Those songs? Alive, Once, and Footsteps, tracks that will become grunge staples. With Vedder in place, Pearl Jam is one step away from launching one of the biggest rock movements of the 90s. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. John Lennon quit the Beatles. Hey there, rock and roll enthusiasts. September 20th, 1969. You know the drill. John Lennon drops a bombshell during a meeting with Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr in London. He is leaving the Beatles. The news is kept under wraps because the band is about to sign a major label contract, but the writing is on the wall. McCartney later recalls trying to convince them to return to their roots, to play small gigs again, just like they used to. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. Hey there, rock fans. 21st of September, 1992. Radiohead released their debut single, Creep. A song that wasn't even supposed to be a single. Initially, the band recorded other tracks for their debut, but none felt right. During a break in the studio, they jammed out a song Thom Yorke had written years earlier as a student, and the producers immediately knew this was the song. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. Happy birthday, Joan Jett. Hey there, rock fans. September 22nd, 1958. Joan Jett is born Joan Marie Larkin near Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and grows up in Rockville, Maryland. After making waves as the guitarist for the Runaways, she forms Joan Jett and the Blackhearts and battles industry rejection. 23 record labels turned down her debut album, including I Love Rock and Roll, before she releases it herself. The song then rockets to #1, turning Jett into an undisputed rock icon and a pioneer for women in punk and hard rock. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. The day of Bowie's heroes. Hey there, rock fans. 23rd of September, 1977. David Bowie releases Heroes, a song that would become one of his most celebrated anthems. Bowie's iconic vocal take is captured using a multi-latch microphone system placed throughout the room to increase intensity as he sings louder. Add in Robert Fripp's searing guitar, and Heroes becomes an otherworldly masterpiece, an enduring anthem of resilience in Bowie's career. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. You know what day it is? It's Nevermind Day. Hey there, grunge fans. September 24, 1991. Nirvana release Nevermind, a seismic event in rock history. Originally expected to sell modestly, the album instead reshapes music when Smells Like Teen Spirit explodes. Within 4 months, it's #1 on the Billboard 200, knocking Michael Jackson from the top. Songs like Come As You Are, Lithium, and In Bloom define grunge, and Nevermind goes on to sell over 30 million copies, making it one of the best-selling albums of all time. More than just a record, Nevermind is a generational shift. The moment when alt-rock takes over the mainstream. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. And by the way, this is the 50th video that I've done in this series, and the book still has over 2,700 stories left. If you like these videos, why not give it a thumbs up? Perhaps even subscribe. But the best thank you would be a thank you to yourself. Buy the book. See ya. Goodbye, John Bonham. Hey there, rock folks. 25th of September, 1980. That's 45 years ago today. John Bonham, the thunderous force behind Led Zeppelin, dies at 32 years old after a night of heavy drinking, asphyxiating on his own vomit. Known for his ferocious speed, raw power, and jaw-dropping versatility, Bonham's influence stretches far beyond Zeppelin, inspiring generations of drummers like Dave Grohl, Neil Peart, Tommy Lee, and Chad Smith. Instead of continuing without him, Led Zeppelin makes the unthinkable decision to call it quits, issuing a statement explaining that they simply cannot go on without Bonzo. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. The Beatles release Abbey Road. Hey there, rock fans. September 26th, 1969. What a magical year. The Beatles release Abbey Road in the UK, their 11th studio album, and their final recordings together as a band. Featuring one of the most iconic album covers of all time, the band walking across the Abbey Road zebra crossing, the album captures the Beatles at their peak, despite mounting tensions. Sessions began just 3 weeks after they wrapped work on Get Back, which is later released as Let It Be, and somehow they still managed to deliver some of their best material ever. Come Together, Here Comes the Sun, and Something, George Harrison's first Beatles A-side. The album topped charts on both sides of the Atlantic and remains one of the most beloved records in rock history. Check out more day-to-day stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. Metallica's disastrous crash in Sweden. Hey there, rock fans. September 27th, 1986. Cliff Burton, Metallica's phenomenal bassist, dies tragically in a bus crash in Sweden during the Damage Inc. tour. Just 24 years old, Burton is asleep in his bunk when the bus skids off the road. He's thrown from the window and crushed when the vehicle rolls over. The loss is devastating to Metallica, who nearly call it quits, but ultimately push forward, ensuring that Burton's influence and his monstrous virtuosic bass playing lives on. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. Janis Joplin left her band. Hey there, rock and roll folks. September 28th, 1968. Janis Joplin shakes things up by announcing she's leaving Big Brother and the holding company, believing the band isn't as committed as she is. Her new group, the Cosmic Blues Band, doesn't last long, and eventually she strikes out as a solo artist. Though she never settles with a permanent band, her raw, powerful voice carries her through an unparalleled, if tragically short, career. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. I am the Eggman. I'm the Walrus. Hey there, rock folks. September 29th, 1967. John Lennon, deep in the studio recording I Am the Walrus, flips on the radio and stumbles across a BBC broadcast of Shakespeare's King Lear. Because this is the Beatles, and because Lennon is Lennon, he decides to layer snippets of the play into the song itself, adding to its surreal psychedelic atmosphere. The result? One of the strangest, most brilliant tracks in Beatles history. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac. Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska. Hey there, rock and roll folks. 30th of September, 1982. Bruce Springsteen releases Nebraska, an album that started as simple home demos recorded on a 4-track tape machine. Initially meant as a rough sketches for the E Street Band, the recordings take on a haunting, stark beauty that Springsteen decides can't be replaced in a studio. With dark storytelling and stripped-down arrangements, Nebraska becomes Springsteen's most celebrated works, proving that sometimes less is more. Check out more stories from the Rock and Roll Almanac.